things never share the way they're supposed to. Everybody, please give me a moment. There. I love free music. Let me take this. Boom. All right. Let's make sure everything else is turned the hell down. Because that's the one thing that really would irritate the ginger today after it took me like 5 minutes just to share anything on my damn wall. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's see how the angle is, ladies and gentlemen, before we get right down into the brass tacks of things. Woo! It's Friday. Gosh, I love Fridays. Okay, got my notes there, got everything organized. Let's take a look. Everything seems to be pretty okay. For some reason it's not showing up on there, but it is on here. So I will go here. Looks like the angle, actually it looks pretty good. All right. Looks like I can actually for once in a while get right down into the swing of things. So let me take a drink first. Oh my goodness gracious. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to North Sports. It is Friday, June 19th, 2020, and I am here to give you some updates about what the hell is going around in the world of sports today. We only got 2 more episodes of the season left, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, only 2 more episodes. Why do I only got 2 more episodes? But why? But why? But why? There we go. Because there's only so many things going on in sports. We need to take a break for a little bit, give away some stuff, and get back to the swing of things when sports start coming around the other way. So, enjoy today. Next Saturday, we're going to have the draw. And you know how you get entries into that draw? You like and you share and you tag your friends in any of the videos that I have ever posted on North Sports. And that is how you get 1 entry into the draw, ladies and gentlemen. You want 3 entries into the draw? 3 of them. 3. You got to go put yourself into Instagram and get yourself my new account, North Sports 2020. That's right. You will get 3 entries. If you follow that, I will have a nice big bowl of something with all everybody's names in it next week. And I will draw the name. And it doesn't matter if you live in Alaska. I'm trying to think of a town in Alaska. Anchorage, Alaska. Doesn't matter if you live in Real Madrid, Spain. Doesn't matter if you live in North Pole. I don't care where you live. You win this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to send it to you. I don't care if it costs like $50. I'll send it to you. It's just the way it works. So, ladies and gentlemen, you want to know who I am? I'm Andrew Faubert. I am the host of North Sports, and you can follow me on Facebook, at North Sports, obviously, but you can follow me on Instagram, also at Andrew Faubert, which I believe it's funny guy, boobs. But Twitter, Andrew_Faubert. Look for the North Sports logo right here, ladies and gentlemen. You can also follow Bucks Report. That is the other job I have, and they are awesome. I got some great coworkers. One is going to be on in a little bit. We're running a little bit late. He's running a little bit late because we got a big show to put on today, and he is a busy man. In order to get him on this show has been like madness. I don't even know. I don't have the technology to even get him technically on this show, but we're going to try. That's the best thing about North Sports. It has got like no money put into it, but I give you the best quality sports show that you could possibly ask for. North of the border, TSN ain't got nothing on me. ESPN, New Holiday. Nobody got nothing on me. So you can follow Bucks Report on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Look for them, follow them. We got videos up every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We got all of our boys doing content and shared across the board all the way through. YouTube. Be on there pretty damn soon with myself, North Sports, and Bucks Report. Be having my own show on both platforms. One obviously talking way more about the Buccaneers, and the other one talking obviously about everything around sports. Everything. I don't like to just talk about one thing. I like to talk about everything. But if you know me when it comes to football, I like to talk about my football the most. That is the one thing I like to talk about. So, ladies and gentlemen, the draw date is on the 27th. Make sure to get your entries into there before then, because after that, you're not getting nothing. So, let's get right into it with some breaking news that has happened today. There's not too much details that has come out since I've actually been home and checked, but we have got some new stuff that has happened here, ladies and gentlemen. Where is it? Yeah, the Tampa Bay Lightning had to temporarily close training facilities during phase 2. Multiple players and some staff have been infected, I guess you would say. I don't like using the word infected, but they have caught the COVID. That is per Bob McKenzie on Twitter. That also has led into a lot of things happening in the Tampa Bay area, just in general. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers assistant coach has tested positive, and 2 assistants. Now, I'm not saying that there's any, outbreak in Tampa Bay or anything like that. I'm not there. I'll be finding out tonight from my co-hosts and my bosses, basically, at Bucks Report, about what is actually happening in the state of in the state of Tampa. Wow, how Canadian am I? In the state of Florida, but when it comes to the Tampa area and what is going on, just around the world in general. But most likely, we're going to talk about Tampa. So I wanted to give everybody an update about that. I'm not trying to be a downer and say sports isn't coming back, but ladies and gentlemen, it's not looking that great. I'm not going to lie. It's really, I don't know what to say. What are we supposed to do here? If people didn't listen the first time, do you really think people are going to listen the next time? Probably not. It's just the way it goes. And you know what? So I don't ever get like in trouble from a Canadian sponsorship. Let's just if I put a tape around it and then I'll put a tape around the other side, just in case. You know how they can be. You know how they can be. I'll just do that. Oh, speaking of, say, sponsorships, we don't have a sponsorship here on the show, ladies and gentlemen, but Heartbeat Hot Sauce is always going to get their shout-outs on this show, no matter what, for the rest of their life. Shout out to Ignace. He's a big Patriots fan. Me and him have been waiting for the Patriots and Buccaneers to play in the Super Bowl. Times have changed, Ignace. Now, I post his logos and the stuff that he has worked hard to start getting off the ground. Him and his boss have done a great job. They always get a shout out here. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the red habanero sauce. It is one of their best, but there's a reason why I kept this one down here. What the hell is this? Ladies and gentlemen, that is the blueberry habanero, one of their finest delicacies there at Heartbeat Hot Sauce. You can check them out online. Most of your Canadian stores in Thunder Bay and area will have them. Not really out here anymore because they're sold out every time they even touch the shelves. But if you love hot sauce, give these ones a try. They've been featured on Hot Ones a few times now, and have also been featured on, what the heck, not Marilyn Monroe. The hell is it? The cook that gets stoned with Snoop Dogg there all the time. You can find it on there, that she loves it as well. Always gets a shout out on my show. I'll actually be sending a bottle of these, one of these, that our boy Nick Citro at Bucks Report also likes. The only thing is I obviously, I lost a bet, so I have to give him a bunch of stuff, and that's just the way it is. I have to be the one that goes out and gives him, a care package, because I lost the bet, and I apologize. I'm just trying to make sure everything is all good here. Yes, it is. So, in the care package so far, we're going to send him a bottle, not this bottle because this one's open. That'd be a little bit rude. We're going to send him a bottle of Heartbeat sauce, hot sauce. We got maple cookies, and I got him some maple syrup. Buddy, I got you some maple syrup. You're going to love it, you and your dad. I got you and your dad a bottle. It's quite expensive. Man, it's going to be expensive. But we got to add a couple more things else into there. We got to make Bucks Report feel at home here in Canada. So what else, ladies and gentlemen, am I throwing in the care package? What else that is Canadian that you don't get in the States do you think that we should be sending them? Or if you're American and you're watching this, what is it that is Canadian that you think Nick Citro would enjoy very, very much? And we'll send it into the care package for him whenever he desires that care package, which is going to be before the opening kickoff. I'm going to make sure that he gets that care package before the opening kickoff. So we got the breaking news out of the way. Now here's where I wanted to talk about something that I've been kind of working on here. The other day, Jimmy Garoppolo said some things that kind of had me thinking. Why would not only your head coach, but a GM basically reach out to you and say that we're going after another quarterback? Or we're not going after another quarterback. We are talking to another quarterback. What would be the reasoning for that? There should really be no reasoning for that, correct? Except for maybe, that he is the GOAT. So when it comes to GOATs, ladies and gentlemen, and today we're going to talk about the quarterbacks in the NFL, the GOATs. What are teams willing to do for the GOAT? What are they willing to sacrifice for the GOAT? But also at the same time, too, what are you willing to do within house to get the GOAT, to get the player that you want? Now, Jimmy Garoppolo said the other day, it is the NFL. He was saying to Matt Barrows of The Athletic, there's a competition. Everybody's trying to be the best team they can, to be the best together they can. And that's just the reality of it. He did confirm that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch were transparent about the possibility of adding Brady. One of them would serve as a backup. Maybe he would leave town, this, that, and everything else. But the one thing that he did say is, the one thing I can say about the whole situation was Kyle and John were very honest with me the whole time. That's their job, to be the best team together possible, and you've got to respect that. So as long as the honesty and truthfulness is there, I respect those guys, I love those guys, and it's going to be fun it's going to be fun this year. Now, I have a couple of things about that. I have a couple of things to say about that. Jimmy Garoppolo can be very nice and polite and honest. He kind of has to in this situation, and here's why. Your organization looked at Tom Brady. He's currently part of my organization now, and they made their own change, and we will get to that in a few. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a bad quarterback. When he was coming out of the draft out of Buffalo, I believe it was Buffalo, he was touted to be a really good quarterback if you put him in a system and let him evolve. Now, you put him in the proper system. He also had another guy with him named Jacoby Brissett and the same guy that we're currently talking about in Tom Brady. Tom Brady started. When was the only time Garoppolo got in? When Tom Brady went down. Okay? There's a GOAT mentality around him. When the GOAT is around, the GOAT don't leave. And if the GOAT don't leave, nobody else gets any of the pie. So Tom Brady left. Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay. But before Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay, Tom Brady had a few spots that he wanted to go and check out, obviously. So let's just take a quick look at some of the places that Brady could have gone with the young talent. Garoppolo obviously with the 49ers. Drew Lock, Denver, they reached out. Miami reached out. But we probably know they would have taken Tua. I think if Miami was in this situation and had Tom Brady right now, and they got to still draft Tua at number 5, this would literally be the best situation for them because they would be an instant playoff team for the next 2 years. And you get to play the Patriots, so Tom Brady playing the Patriots twice a year would be kind of interesting. But they would be able to, deal with that injury, deal with him in the new system, this, that, and everything else, Brian Flores, blah, 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 blah. Now, a couple of other veteran-type teams that could have made an approach for Brady this offseason was the LA Chargers, when they got Tyrod Taylor. Got the Indianapolis Colts, who had Jacoby Brissett. You got the Tennessee Titans, who currently have Ryan Tannehill. And you have the Las Vegas Raiders, who have Derek Carr, and now Marcus Mariota. All of these teams went for Tom Brady. And if you look deep down in all of these situations, Chargers being a little bit different, but Indianapolis, Tom Brady coming there to play, a lot of fans would love it and a lot of fans would hate it. So you're kind of tearing a lot of things inside if you went there in the fan base. On the other side of things, you Ryan Tannehill with the Titans, you really want to get the fan base kind of off of your, parade here. You guys just took a nobody team, essentially, to the Chiefs and lost to the Chiefs and made it a pretty okay game. You put Tom Brady in there and expect to go over the hump? I don't think you would sell many Titan fans with that. Derek Carr situation with the Raiders, I don't think Gruden would be appropriate for Brady, but that's just my opinion. We have talked about it many of times. The Buccaneers have had an opportunity to replace Winston which was tearing the franchise fan base and probably people internally apart, which we've seen on the Bucks Report, and we've seen on Twitter, we've seen on every other sports show that's been around here. Whether Winston is a godsend and was not put in the appropriate situation, or if he does not have the appropriate mechanics to be a franchise Super Bowl winning quarterback. So we replaced him and got a 1-year deal in New Orleans. There is no open market. Brady gets to come here, bring his TB12, bring his own mentality, which has already happened, and do whatever he wants. He's got free range to a respectability. Still Bruce Arians' team. It's still the Glazers franchise. But Brady is coming in here to make a real change, ladies and gentlemen. So when you have the GOAT or a GOAT available to you, you always go for what you can get. If it means blowing things up in-house. Now, apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I just got to make sure everything is all good. Right on. Sorry about that. Just got to make sure because of our guest messages. I want to make sure that I have everything in place where I can reply to him. Okay? Thank you for holding on for 2 seconds. Perfect. There we go. Now we're good. Now, where was this going? I'm not talking about Brady now because he's already got his team. They've made the jersey change. They've brought his boy back from retirement. They've drafted what really he needs going forward. But this kind of happened before, did it not? You look at 2012, Peyton Manning. When he went to become a free agent, a lot of teams all of a sudden went, I'm sorry, Peyton Manning just got cut by the Broncos. We didn't expect that coming. Why didn't you expect that coming? Because everyone expected him to retire in a Colts jersey. I expected him to retire in a Colts jersey. I still do, even though Brady's on my team, still do think that Peyton Manning is the greatest quarterback of all time, but I have had to settle for the argument that he is the greatest regular season quarterback, in my opinion, of all time. When he became a free agent, he was one of the biggest free agents to ever hit the market without a team having to trade. This does not happen every day. This doesn't happen at all, really. Joe Montana still had to be traded for. And they had to basically give up a first-round pick to get him. Even when he only played, I believe, 2 more years after that. 93, 94. Peyton Manning, when you look at all the teams that would have gone after him and sniffed about him, the one that I'm going to throw out there right now, and I don't want to put too much attention on this because a lot of fans of this team would get upset if I even brought this up. But let's say Peyton Manning, decided to go Seattle. You wouldn't have Russell Wilson. He came a couple years later. Assuming Peyton Manning is going to any of these teams for 4 years, like he did with Denver, you have to replace the quarterback selections in those years. Seattle, having Peyton Manning and Pete Carroll would be a good mixture. I don't think would have won necessarily a Super Bowl. Maybe with the Legion of Boom behind it and stuff like that. I think Peyton Manning in that type of environment would have thrown balls away and stuff like that and put it in bad situations where he doesn't get a first round bye. But I do digress. Don't think Seattle was going to happen. But had Peyton Manning got there, you wouldn't have had Russell Wilson. But the other situations around the league. Alex Smith with the 49ers. Just got injured. Kaepernick just got injured the next year. Kaepernick came in. But really, they didn't know if they wanted to resign Alex Smith. They didn't know if they wanted to bring him back. Peyton Manning would have fit. Matt Schaub in Houston. Schaub was their guy. Schaub was their guy for a bit. And Peyton could have gone there. Peyton apparently wanted to go to Houston, was very sold on Houston. Flacco in Baltimore. Baltimore wouldn't have had that Super Bowl. Maybe they would have more. What about Romo in Dallas? Peyton could have easily taken over the Cowboys, could have easily taken that franchise in the new era and made them more prolific than they already are. Probably at that point, in my opinion, would have made the Patriots, second best, and that would have kept, Tom Brady probably there for a while longer. As in not the 2 years of Tampa, trying to catch up to Peyton Manning's records. When the GOAT is available, you are willing to break things in-house. There was other teams that could have, that I did not put on this list. Atlanta, they had all these young, they had Matt Ryan. But there are teams that sniffed around when you have good quarterbacks. And at the time, Matt Schaub was a good quarterback. At that time, Joe Flacco was a great quarterback. Romo was a good quarterback, whether you were on the Romo train or not. Alex Smith is a franchise quarterback, depending on the system and depending on however which way you look at it. That's 4 different franchises that he could have destroyed, but he didn't, because he did go to Denver. He chose Denver. He chose Denver because John Elway was there and promised to build and draft a team around him, give him the money that he deserved. And on the flip side, if I was John Elway, you've never really had the quarterback situation taken care of and stuff like that. You're not going to win with that great of a defense unless you have at least somebody to throw the rock. And you took the chance and it got you to 2 Super Bowls and you won one. The other one you can't really necessarily say is Peyton Manning's, but, we can digress there. So when the GOAT is available, your team will do things that you may not think is smart. The 49ers were possibly willing to blow everything up, essentially, whichever way you wanted to look at it, to bring Tom Brady in. You think Garoppolo would have really put up with that to be a backup again to Brady for 2 years? You really think that? Do you honestly think that if Brady went to Indianapolis that the fans would have been okay with that? No. This is where I think, and the whole reason I had this little build up to it, I think what is going to happen is in a year or two, there's a reason I got this right up with my first one, my over and unders. In a year or two, somebody is going to trade for Aaron Rodgers. I do not think that the Packers are going to release him because they know what they have. Nobody necessarily traded for Peyton Manning because that was a different case. The Packers will retain something. They're not that dumb of a franchise. There's a reason why they drafted Jordan Love and a running back in the same draft. They're going to build that team for the next 5 years around those two. Aaron Rodgers is already there. Next year, I already have predicted that the Packers are going to be a 10-6 team that should be a 13-3 team. Okay? The issue here is you got Aaron Rodgers that's only got maybe 4 or 5 years, depending on if he wants to pull a Tom Brady and go for, 6 or 7 more from this day. Are there franchises out there willing to take this chance? They only giving Tampa Bay or Tom Brady 2 years in Tampa Bay. And there's pretty much a Super Bowl almost guaranteed in that window. And Tampa Bay is willing to get players and do whatever it takes to get that Super Bowl. I am okay with that. Denver was willing to take that chance when Peyton Manning became available, and they got there twice and won one. It doesn't matter what you did to get the quarterback, to get your guy, if you all of a sudden win a championship. Now, this is the reason why I am going to bring up a few teams here. And I'm going to let you know where I actually think he's going to go. I went through the whole entire league. There's a lot of different teams that he could easily be traded to, and they would give a package for him. And it's not even a question. You got the 49ers. They screwed up. I think Rodgers would tell the Packers, ask for another second. Make them pay for it a little bit. Just I can have that little bit of thing and then go put on the jersey for him. Denver. If Drew Lock isn't working this year, after all the offensive weapons that they just put on that team, I can almost guarantee you that John Elway would do it again. Give me Aaron Rodgers for 4 to 5 years. Done. The Raiders. Raiders got a new team. Raiders got a brand new stadium. They got Gruden. They got Mayock. Maybe not fits the full culture, but hey, wear that jersey, put Rodgers in there, you let him do what he does best, that could probably work. I got Jacksonville. being the wild card in this, because if they don't get Trevor Lawrence, they're going to want something right away. They're going to want to be a team to be fucked with right away. So watch for them to be like, you know what? People are going to think that we suck. We're going to offer Green Bay the next year's first round pick because they think we're going to suck that bad. We'll put Rodgers in our system and we'll definitely not be that bad. But it's intriguing to the Packers. And then I got New England. I think if Belichick is going to be there for 4 to 5 years and Stidham is not exactly what they are willing to do, I think the Patriots would be willing to add in some more back-ended picks to make their offer a little bit more better to somebody. When, Belichick could say we offered 7 picks. 2 fifths, 2 sixths, and a 7th are in there. But, it sounds pretty cool when you say that there were 7 picks, 8 picks. Nobody is just going to let Aaron Rodgers walk off into the sunset without trying. You think if it's in 2 years, the Buccaneers aren't going to try? Especially if they get Tom Brady, especially if they win a Super Bowl this year, and Tom Brady walks off into the sunset, Gronk walks off into the sunset, a couple other people decide to walk off into the sunset. You don't think the Buccaneers would sit there and offer like the world, maybe not the world, but a damn good package of players and picks to get Aaron Rodgers in that system for 4 years? I think Bruce Arians would be like, I think I'd come back for another 4 years. Or hell, he'd let Leftwich do it. Because then it'd be Rodgers the offense and Leftwich just looking like the head coach. There's so many different opportunities that would happen. But only certain teams make trades for the talent that they seek for. Detroit could do it, but because it's in-house, and I do mean division, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it would work with Minnesota, but Minnesota would be another wild card because we've already kind of seen it before. Nobody is going to let Rodgers go without trading a first-round pick for it, or at least calling the Packers and having 5-10 discussions. Unless you're a team, and I wrote this down, greats don't become available all the time. When they do, unless you have a first-year quarterback or your own franchise quarterback, the franchise will pursue the player whether the media finds out or not. That is just the way it goes. So if you think that Rodgers is just going to be a free agent and your team is going to pay him all the money, think again. Somebody is going to trade for him, restructure his contract, give him what he wants because he's going to do what they want. Give him at least one of those titles. And then it doesn't matter what the fuck you did before it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was the GOAT talk. Wanted to get that off my chest. That's what happens when your head coach calls you and says, listen, man, Tom Brady, I know you worked with Tom Brady, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Hold on. There we go. I'm going to tell you this right now. So I'm getting calls about Tom Brady right now, okay? Just give me a sec. Now, Tom Brady's available. We're going to bring him in the house. We're going to see what he looks like maybe in a jersey. We're just going to kind of entertain the idea of it. Because, at the end of the day, he would have made that catch. Or that pass there. I'm really sorry to tell you that there, buddy. So, yeah, it is what it is, and it always will be what it will be. But at the same time, too, we love you, Garoppolo. We can get there next year. Which, if you're asking me, is not going to happen. Oh, hold on 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. That was weird. Okay, so the other side of things, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it looks like my guest was ready. But that wasn't him calling. Sorry. So, there we go. Oh yeah, and I gotta go here. So, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. So unprofessional, I'm aware. But when you get the technology ready, boom, doom, boom, dun 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 dun. Put this back, dun dun dun. Put that there, dun dun dun. Dun. There we go. That's how you do a Canadian show, nice and raw, just like that. So now that our guest can call in when he is ready, and he will let me know when he is ready, we will get my co-host on here from Bucks Report, Joshua Cole Allen, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get him on here, go over one other thing here. Before we get him in here, ladies and gentlemen, the Canadian government has given the okay for one hub Canadian city for the NHL. Now, we don't know exactly what NHL city it's going to be just yet, but we do know that it's only going to be one of three, more than likely: Edmonton, Vancouver, or Toronto. And I can almost throw a lot of money now to say that it's probably going to be Toronto, because they are looking for an Eastern time zone team. You can't just have all the teams playing on Western time zones unless you're going to have them playing really, really early in the morning to adhere to the Eastern time zone audience. I got friends who are Steelers fans. I got friends who are Maple Leaf fans. I don't understand why. I got friends who are Flyers fans who are going to be wanting to see their teams playing at respectable times, especially if they get this going off the ground. And they're not going to want to be seeing a lot of this crap happening, especially, ladies and gentlemen, if you do not have the appropriate venue for it. Like, Toronto's got the appropriate venue, but say you had to give it to Pittsburgh, you lose the Canadian audience. Say you gave it to, Montreal. You got to deal with the province of Montreal's rules and regulations then. There's a lot of different things that come into this, but I really just think that it's kind of now forced into Toronto's hands. Vegas is Western time zone, from what I understand. So it's not going to be very easy for these teams to participate into this tournament, especially if they got to be into the next time zone and living in that time zone when they're used to another one. And they got to come in so quick and this and that and everything else. It's not what you want. It's not what you want at all. It's not going to be perfect. But I mean, if it still happens, we'll be happy, right? And I know with the news that I broke at the beginning of the show today, it's not looking appropriate, but at the same time, it's not going to be appropriate. So there's that. Let's hope that there is some hockey, because I don't really know what the hell is going to happen here. I still think it is going to. I mean, the NBA is going to Orlando. That's like their own little bubble. So if you just put it in two hub cities and stuff like that, I don't understand why it wouldn't work. It should work. And it will work. We're getting sports here, ladies and gentlemen. What else we got here on the dock? Oh, I wanted to get this out there. I want to get this out there before the end of our show season. Season 1 of North Sports. It'll be 15 episodes. This is awesome. I didn't think it would be actually this fun. I was doing the first 5, 6, 7 episodes of this show to, 1 or 2 people. Now every episode it's maybe to 4 or 5 now. We're growing. Even if it's by 3 people. Twitter followers, up 25. Followers on the page, up by 60. We're getting somewhere. The news has gotten out there that there's a crazy-ass Canadian that's got a lot of shit to say. You put me on the spot about football, baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey, doesn't matter, NASCAR. I am there, ladies and gentlemen. And I will out-talk you, outbid you, and out-persuade you if I gotta. That's what I do. I got on Bucks Report because of this enthusiasm, ladies and gentlemen. Bucks Report is going to be taken off because of this enthusiasm and the much enthusiasm that we got across the board with the other guys. North Sports, ladies and gentlemen, your Canadian platform for your Canadian news and your Canadian perspective of what the fuck is going on in there in sports. So, I'm going to pick an MLS team. It's starting to become pretty big. Edmonton is going to have a couple of games for the 2026 FIFA World Cup that's happening in Canada here and all across North America. Mexico, the United States, and Canada all get to host some games. Canada's getting a what do you call it? Like a little playoff berth, I guess you would say, for free because you get to host it, which I think it's kind of dumb in soccer rules. But hey, if it means that I get to have my Canadian team, I really don't give a damn. Because now we get the Commonwealth Stadium that's going to get like a $550 million upgrade, which is absolutely insane. You're going to have all this other stuff. Oh, sorry, 1 second. me know when call. Boom. So I gotta pick an MLS team. I gotta sit there. I gotta pick an MLS team. I don't want to be a Toronto FC fan. That's just kind of dumb. I want it to be a new team. I want it to be a good team. I want it to be a shitty team, really. I want it to be a team that's got some good players. So I'm going to put a vote up on Twitter. I'm going to have people tell me what team should I play or what team should I cheer for. You got Pat McAfee, he's got the AFL going on and stuff like that. He's got a team. I was like, you know what? I don't necessarily have an MLS team. I need an MLS team. So let me know what teams you want me to cheer for. We'll vote on it. We'll see what's going on. Think we got ourselves my co-host. Not co-host, but, you know, he is one of my co-hosts. I think he is going to work. I think this is going to work. Let's see what we got here. Get him on in a second. Like I said, great Canadian technology. Whew, there it is. All right. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Just have to make sure I get this on there. All right. Let's see here. Boom. Just waiting for my guy to join on again. So I will do this. Board is going to be backwards for a second, but at least I can see my co-host this way. My guest today. Oh, I hate this stuff. But at least it's, you know, better than nothing. At least there's the hat. All right. So once I can figure out how to work these requests, it worked last time. So we're just waiting for him to make another request. But we will have our guest on in a few minutes here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to all his friends and family who are tuning in. Again, sorry for the, you know, crappy technology and the crappy setup here, but that's just how it is here. That's the way I kind of wanted it on North Sports too, ladies and gentlemen, is, you know, nice and raw, you know, shitty, I guess you would say. It's not shitty. This is the greatest Canadian sports show ever. So usually there's an icon that shows up at the top when he sends a request. It worked before. Oh, there it is. There he is. Ladies and gentlemen, my on Box Report, where our bosses reached out to us and basically said, hey, you guys got some talent. We want you on this. And they called us. Ladies and gentlemen, there is Joshua the Cool Allen. How are you doing today, my friend?
Doing great, man. What's going on?
Not too bad. As you can see, Canadian technology is not the greatest. There we go. That's a lot better. So, how's it going, buddy? How was your day? Tell me how things have been in the States there.
Everything's going, you know, pretty well with me personally. Had some family come visit last week. Unfortunately, Florida is seeing a little bit of a spike down here in the state, in our states at least. So, you know, a little more precaution. Some restaurants had to shut down, hoping the beaches aren't going to be shut down. Pools are going to shut down. Tampa just, you know, issued a citywide mask, so everyone has to wear a mask starting today. They're going to be out in public. Just trying to get back ahead of this because we thought we were good, but, you know, as you have said earlier in the show, you have the Lightning, you have the Phillies, you have the Blue Jays, all, and the Buccaneers assistant coach, all in the Tampa area, Clearwater, St. Pete, who have had positive tests. So obviously we want sports back, but we want life as normal back. So as soon as we can kind of get that all under wraps and hopefully, you know, taking the precautions and steps necessary to get back on track. And, you know, it's just a wait and see game. We don't know what's going on. New information comes out every day. Doesn't look like there'll be a vaccine anytime soon. And even if there is a vaccine, it hasn't really gone through many trials. So if that's something you want to put in your body, we don't have to talk about that. But I mean, you got to think players are thinking about that as well too. So hopefully things get back on track. But for me personally, things are going really well. Been, you know, just grinding on the shows. Happy to be here on North Sports to just kind of see what this is all about. So yeah,
See, so to all my Canadian friends who are going to watch this, I got friends who watch this, they go and they watch it later on. Some of the guys are at work. I know it looks like I got Johnny Dean watching with us, so shout out to Johnny Dean and a couple of the other guys there. For people who don't know, we kind of got scouted, I guess you would say, by Bucks Report. And me just, I guess I brought some stuff that they liked, and, they reached out to me. Peter King said some great things. I call him Peter King. I don't care. Everyone calls him Peter Blake. I know it's his real name. It's Peter King. The guy has done a great job leading that show. They reached out, we want to have you. This would be great. And, on the other side of things, they reached out to you. I was actually on the show the day that you called and had that great call in where even I was like, hey, we need to – that guy would be nice to have. And just like you said, you have been grinding. We have had Reed Sinnett. You have gotten Quentin Bell. That is coming up pretty darn soon. We've had a couple other guys whose names kind of passed me here. But when I say this guy is grinding, this guy is grinding. He has brought it. There's a lot of stuff that he has brought that I wish I could bring. But obviously living in North across an imaginary line, I can't really do much and stuff like that, nor do I even have, the four-letter word TV show, thing where I can't watch that. I get TSN, I get SportsCenter, which is fun, but I don't have some of the content that you guys have, which, kind of sucks, but it is what it is, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what happened with me too, being down in Tampa, coming from the New England area, they have two channels dedicated pretty much to New England sports. They have Comcast Sports Network, who's gone over many different names, and they have Nesson as well. Yeah. So, coming down from there and seeing that they don't have anything like that. They don't have a channel. They barely have news segments. They don't have anything like that to really, get into it. So I started looking around and I'm like, okay, I'm a Bruins fan. I'm a Celtics fan. I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm a Patriots fan. But all those other teams play each other. Red Sox, Blue Jays, Bruins, Lightning, Celtics, Orlando. So the only real option for me to root for a team locally was the Buccaneers. So, they're in the NFC. I jumped right on there. I love football. I'm a football fan first and foremost. If I had to choose the Patriots or no football at all, the Patriots got to go. But, jumping on last year, I wrote up a big thing too after the offseason in January about, how it was seriously a possibility Brady could have came here. Put on my Facebook, my friends laughed at me. They're like, yeah, I don't think so. One of my buddies, Matt, he's like, I'd rather not have him here, blah, blah, blah. He's old, whatever. So, lo and behold, 2 months later, boom, Tom Brady's here. So just starting to scour, see, okay, well, I want to know more. I want to hear more. I want to see what these people are talking about. So that's when I came across Bucks Report, going through Facebook pages and stuff like that. And, I just, like you did, I came on, I brought solid knowledge, facts, opinions that, meshed well with Bucks Report's belief. And one day I kind of got the message and then the call saying, we kind of want you to be part of this. I wanted to be part of this. And it's been about a month and a week now. And like you said, I'm just trying to grind and do the best I can to bring content and to bring, facts, knowledge, opinions that are strong and to grow this platform, I'm loving it. And I know you are too. I just see things are getting, better and better and bigger from here.
Yeah, Bucks Report came around the same time that I was even just coming up with the idea of North Sports. I think it's one of those things where, Facebook's listening to every one of your conversations and probably overheard me one time being like, I want to do this, but I want to do it a little bit differently. I want to be me and I want to be raw, but I want to have real content and stuff like that. And the Bucks Report was coming through my timeline right at the same time. So was helping seeing Peter do his work and helped me influence my work and stuff like that. And, the big board, it's really not that big, but the big board has helped a lot. It's one of the best things to have, especially as someone who loves analytics like myself, where you can start going through different things across the board with different teams and this, that, and everything else. Now, I want to kind of transfer into a couple of other things here. Quickly, do you like MLS? Are you an MLS fan at all?
We had the New England Revolution. I went to a game or two. I can't get into football or soccer, as we call it here in the States. I haven't been able to get into it. I mean, World Cup, obviously that's kind of missed TV once you start getting down to, the semifinals and the finals and stuff like that. I'll tune in and I'll watch it. But I'm not a huge soccer fan at all, football fan. It's different. If you took some of the athletes that played NBA, that played NFL, that played baseball, that played hockey, and they started joining soccer, well, the World Cup would be a national tournament in Cleveland, Ohio every year, and we'd be using all of Italy as our farm team. It just is not interest in America, so that it's harder to build the brand. And that's fine with me. We have football, we share hockey with the Canadians, over there in Northern Europe. So, I mean, I'm fine with football, hockey, and some basketball. Baseball is whatever right now. There's some opportunity there.
So the only reason I brought up MLS into the show today is because with the 2026 FIFA World Cup happening in North America, obviously it's 6 years down the road, and I'm not even going to start thinking of COVID. By that time it'll be a tsunami or something like that coming through. Exactly. And what I think is going to happen here is around my daughter's age and my son's age and stuff like that, we'll start being more intrigued to play soccer, especially seeing that, Canada will actually be into the tournament and stuff like that. Mexico and the United States have always done well in the tournament. Canada's had one goal in 1972 or 74. I had it written down somewhere, and I had the guy's name written down somewhere. But my belief is, we're getting upgrades on a couple of our stadiums and stuff like that. You could put us in the same division as a Portugal, an Argentina, and a Costa Rica. And if we scored a goal against a Costa Rica, we'd be ecstatic and we would party in the streets until 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, for the odd chance that the Canadians got a goal pretty early, that was a random fluke that went in on Argentina. And they just played defense hard, and for some odd reason, after 97 minutes and Messi can't do nothing, Canada won 1-0 against Argentina, we wouldn't stop. We would not stop partying. We take pride in Canada on the little, I guess you would say the littlest of things when it comes to not our sports. That's a reason why I guess you would say incited or basically started a riot and in Edmonton when the Raptors won their championship. My mother, when she was younger and I was born but with a babysitter and the Blue Jays won their first World Series, did the same back in Ontario. My family's kind of had this thing as well. Sorry.
Can't forget about the riot in Vancouver when they lost the cup to the Bruins. Sorry, I had to throw that in.
No, see, I'll get into, your Boston teams. I've always had this, this fun back and forth with my friends who are just fans of Boston teams in general. But yes, with Vancouver riots and stuff like that, we party when we want to, and like when we win and stuff like that. Blue Jays, Raptors. That's why I do think with MLS, we start getting a couple more Canadian teams in there. I think it'd be kind of fun. The big picture, though, I think for Canada at the end of the days, if we ever got an NFL team, was able to actually tailgate and stuff like that, that would be our big pride and joy. But going back, we do take pride in the little things. So like hockey and stuff like that, when we got to beat the Americans, and I'm sorry to bring this up, but when we got to beat the Americans in Salt Lake City, and then when the Americans, with 33.7 seconds left on our home ice, shut us down for a good 20 minutes until we get, the golden goal and stuff like that, we celebrate hard when it comes to those things. Now, when it comes to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, I don't think we're even going to get that close. I really don't. I just think it'd be a fun time to, do ole, ole, ole chants in the stadiums for 30 minutes and then watch us get, spanked, kind of like the Brazilians did by my Germans when they hosted, and I do not feel any remorse. That's what you get for spending money that you didn't have to host something you shouldn't have even had. What do you think, just in general, about the 2026 World Cup? Are you going to be a little bit more interested? Are you, going to try and get to a game if they have one? And I'm assuming the Americans would party pretty damn hard if you were in the Final Four or you got to go to the finals against England. That would be something that your whole country would kind of pause and party for as well, correct?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, free product placement there for Red Bull as well. But I just don't. We're not big soccer fans. I mean, there'd be a part of the population that'd be excited, and I'll definitely tune in, especially because it'll be in North America, and soccer. It's a big sporting event. It's one of the biggest events in the time. But traditionally, men's America has in the tournament. So, I mean, unless they do something and make it to the finals, everyone's going to be kind of like, oh, we'll see what happens, regular old America. The women's team now, on the other hand, they're a powerhouse. And a lot of people will be watching that women's team more than they will the men's team. It's unfortunate. But when I say people, I mean, give 10 people in a room, I think 4, maybe 5 tops are going to, really be into it.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So now I know that you only got so much time on the show today and stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to get into the other major topic that I actually saved to have with you because you would throw some knowledge into this as well. So Kyrie said the other day that, the NBA players, a good portion of the NBA players don't want to come back. They would rather take the platform and stuff like that that's kind of going on right now and, do another season when everything has kind of gotten back to the way that it should. But the one comment that he put in there that has really thrown me off is we could create our own league if we really thought about it. So that also had me thinking, after a couple of wobbly pops and a few cigars, we'll say, that I kind of came up with the NFL's version of a free agency list and then the NBA's version of a free agency list. Both gave them a rating. One's got an A+, one's got a C-, and I'll go through this quick and then I'll get your opinion. If we look at notable free agents in the NBA, and let's say that Kyrie could take just him, Dwight Howard of a major name, and one other player, we'll roll the dice, we'll throw one in there and say Klay Thompson. We'll just throw Klay in there. You get those 3, and you get these guys to create, 1 or 2 teams, a bench team. DeMarcus Cousins, Paul Gasol, Joe Johnson, Alan Crabb, Anthony Tolliver, Ian Shumpert, Jordan Bell, J.R. Smith, Jamal Crawford. That's a C+ type of team, I would say. Kyrie would be the only person on that team that would really generate any type of interest around a league.
Kind of losing you there.
Oh, sorry. Are you still good?
Can you hear me?
Make sure. Yeah, I can hear you. You got me?
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only heard part of that list. I think you ended with Ian Shumpert.
Yeah, so I'll throw a couple other ones in here quick. So like Isaiah Thomas, Joe Johnson, DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Tolliver, Paul Gasol, Ian Shumpert, Jordan Bell, J.R. Smith, Jamal Crawford. Now, those are just players that would make up a team and a bench and stuff like that. And I would give that a C-, only because I think Dwight Howard's a little overrated. It's just my personal opinion unless he's playing with elite talent. And Kyrie Irving, unless he is playing with elite talent, can't really show what he can be. Now, would you agree on the rating of, say, that team in its own league being a C+ type of talent or a C- type of talent team? You still got me there, Josh? Kind of figured this would happen at least once. Good old Canadian technology.
Hey, it's fine, So just hearing all those names and stuff like that, I didn't really hear the rest of it. I heard, C- team.
Yes.
I'm just thinking you just described the big 3 with Kyrie Irving on it. And I'll tell you,
thank you.
I'm a Celtics fan, and Irving. I had really high hopes for Kyrie Irving.
Oh, right on.
That's what I feel about Kyrie Irving. You know, it's a $160 jersey, so I haven't thrown it away yet. Maybe change it to something. I don't know. But, you know, that's how I feel about him. He's a clown. He's not, he alone. He had the opportunity with good talent around him to kind of, you know, do it, be the guy, be the man. He can't. He had LeBron. He's got KD. He's a good complementary superstar, if you want to call him like that. He made a great shot to win the Cavaliers a championship. But other than that, what has he really done? Yeah, he can be a proficient scorer. He's not the best, you know. He's not the best leader. He's not going to get you a ton of assists. He's a point guard that's not really a point guard. And we've seen that, though. You know, more traditional point guards are kind of going by the wayside. You know, there's a lot of flexibility between positions, a lot of small ball, a lot of shooters now. Thank you, Steph Curry. Everyone wants to shoot the three.
Yes.
So there's not a lot of, you know, true point guards out there. And the first one you think of as a true point guard is Rajon Rondo, and he's, you know, in his mid to late 30s.
That is true.
So just for Kyrie, you know, to come out here and say, hey, let's start our own league, which in sense is, you know, maybe a decent idea, but there's not enough players that would be willing to sacrifice all of their money to get a league off the ground. I mean, you got to think Ice Cube, I believe, is the one that did the Big Three, and he, you know, he's worth, you know, millions of dollars based off his movies, based off NWA, based off his own music, based off, you know, people under him that make music.
Yep.
And then he also had investors come in too. So, I mean, while Kyrie could probably get investors, no one's going to really want to go head to toe with the NBA. And how many players is he really going to be able to bring to a league to start to compete against NBA? Because there might be some players that follow him, but I mean, the NBA is the National Basketball Association, and it's just like, you know, baseball and other places, they take from around the world, NHL, and put them in America to play a professional sport. So maybe a Big Three type deal, you know, street ball, but definitely not. Definitely not his own league.
Exactly. And yeah, I should probably say that every time. That's why I put the duct tape around the old you should know what this is possibly. So to keep kind of on that before I get into the other one here is, and you made a very good point, is you're not going to sell that much, especially when the NBA is still there. Now, if there was real talent, like if Joe Johnson was playing to the level that he is right now, he wouldn't be a free agent. But if Joe Johnson was still playing at the talent that he was, and you had, you know, one team, like a super team in the league and stuff like that, everyone's going to demand more. And, oh, excuse me. And to be completely honest, unless you're actually showing everybody that you can actually grow with other people and there's a lot of talent, which we know that the NBA, there's good players, but there's never that much elite stardom out there. Yeah. You can include Europe, but even Europe is not going to get into it that much. Now, before you go, the one thing I wanted to say before you go, before I get into the whole football thing, because I don't know if you can stay for the football thing or not. Oh, you can? Okay, so we'll get into the football thing, and then I want to talk about your love for Boston teams. So we'll get into that. So
I just want one more thing on the basketball too. The names you're saying are names. You know, they're grab ya, Paul Gasol, Johnson, Dwight Howard, all these other guys that you know, Vince Carter. They're names. They're going to draw fans in because they're going to want to see them, but they're not going to be able to put a sustainable system on there for.
No, you would have to build almost like a farm team of basketball teams, like a 6 or 8 team minor league to have those players. And that's why I've made an article before stating, you know, why we should have an NFL team in Canada and how we will get one. And in there, I kind of wrote up this thing about you can take the Canadian Football League if you really wanted to make this, you know, XFL, CFL merger. And what would be beautiful is if you allowed the NFL players who don't make even practice rosters to have a league to showcase their skill sets, kind of like, you know, Walker for the Carolina Panthers and a couple of other players that got signed across the league to show that other, skill set that they have. And so what I basically created here, and I'm just going to find, there it is. What I created here is another, I guess you would say, a starting roster of free agents that are currently available right now. And just to give some, some notables right off the bat, Cam Newton would be your starting quarterback. If Cam Newton was a starting quarterback in the CFL or the XFL, I'm going. There's no questions asked. As
if
me,
he's healthy, he's one of the most electrifying athletes out there.
Exactly.
If healthy.
And if healthy, yes, I agree. Warren Moon, as I've talked about many times before, had got to showcase, from where I currently am right now, what he could do in a league if you just allow him to showcase his talent. So, you got, Devontae Freeman that would still be out there. He would be your running back one. LeJean McCoy, Lamar Miller, some other notable running backs. So there's 3 teams with NFL starting running backs, right there. Wide receivers where it kind of gets a little thin, I guess you would say. You got Demaryius Thomas, Taylor Gabriel, Paul Richardson, Antonio Brown, and Josh Gordon, depending if, the league at that point would be willing to accept them. Jordan Reed as your tight end.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Right? Jordan Reed is your tight end with Delaney Walker still kicking around there because he would want to pick up, a couple $100,000 with the league. Now this offensive line right here on paper that I'm about to tell you actually doesn't sound that bad. We've got a Cody Glenn, a Leary, Britt, Larry Warford, Ryan Khalil, and then your benches there is Jason Peters and Beecham. So there is, respectable offensive linemen right there that if you had the other talent that essentially you would need for the league around them would shine, I guess you would say, would get another opportunity. On the defensive side, this is where it kind of gets a little fun if you ask me. If you told me this was my defense going into year one, I would just try to build an offense and try to put up as many points and allow this defense to do what it possibly could do. 4-3 defense. I didn't want to do any crazy 3-4, just, base 4-3. So your first defensive end, Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, that'd be kind of fun, obviously. Your other defensive tackles that I kind of got on the board, I was switching them around a little bit, but I got Everson Griffin that would move to a defensive tackle. You got your is it Mario Davis or I think it's Mario Davis. Mario Davis. Mario Davis. Michael Bennett as your other defensive end. So there's a pretty decent defensive line right there.
Yeah, I might switch Everson Griffin outside and put Bennett inside. But other than that, that's not bad.
And then your other ones, your bench players on that side is Harris, Cameron Wake, and Ezekiel Ansah. So I guess you would say starting type of defensive line that's coming in, right? Your linebacking, Bradham, Mark Barron, Terrell Suggs, Clay Matthews. You can really throw any of those 2 guys on bench right there as well.
Yeah.
But that's it's caliber. It's the caliber that we're talking about. Your cornerbacks though, right? Tremaine Johnson, Logan Ryan, Aqib Talib, Brandon Carr, and Dre Kirkpatrick as your bench.
Yeah, love it.
And then just to end it off, your safeties would be Jones, Eric Reed, and Gostkowski as your kicker, and then we would just take Pat McAfee out of retirement to be the punter. I just do that one in there.
Throw Tony Jefferson on there too as a safety. Call it a day.
Right? I mean, I had the whole list, and I was going to save it actually for Bucks Report tonight of all the free agents and stuff like that, because we can go over about which ones would actually make the Buccaneers a little bit more better of a team, because we've talked about Clay Matthews and stuff like that on our show before too. Yeah. But going over that team, just that team alone, if you told me that was even a professional NFL team, and I'm coming in for 4 years as a GM no matter what, and I got to make 1 or 2 trades, and you tell me that I got to make the playoffs in 1 year, all I'm doing, honestly, is possibly getting maybe one more linebacker who's just more proven to, run the defense itself. Clay Matthews would be nice, but I think that he kind of lacks a little bit more of a playbook based outside of a 3-4 in the playbook that was kind of played in Green Bay. And then trade for 1 wide receiver. Trade for your star stud wide receiver. And in my honest opinion, call that a starting NFL 9-7, 8-8 playoff team, if you ask me. A plus. What do you think?
I think it's a solid team. If this is pre-draft and I have draft picks, I'll probably go trench, offensive line, defensive line, depending on best player available. Just because that's assuming that AB and Josh Gordon are reinstated and they're able to play. I think with AB, Josh Gordon, Gabriel, Richardson, and Demaryius Thomas, I think that's not a bad receiving core. I think that's a better receiving core than some of the receiving cores out there, to be honest with you.
That is very true.
Yeah, probably another starting maybe inside linebacker just to be the field general, like the kicker, like the punter. That secondary is not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible.
Right.
It's a solid team. It's a real solid team. You have the quarterback, you have the running backs. I would probably give that team, like you said, around 7-9, 8-8, maybe 6-10 worst case. But that's a respectable record for a brand new team in the league, especially made up of all free agents without having the draft, supplemental draft, without extra draft picks or anything like that. Yeah, absolutely.
So now the only reason why I did that is to basically, and I'm not trying to take any personal shot here at Kyrie Irving, but Kyrie, I know that I think he's 32, 33, and he's had his ACL injuries and he's had his knee injuries and this, that, and everything else. But, if you switch sports, you could come to something like this and you could probably shine. You probably actually get more people to, watch you. You wanted to be a corner, you wanted to do something like that. That would be fun. But to be honest, when I looked at the list of all the free agents even available that are, the top 100 for crying out loud, the XFL still existed. And, you did a weird kind of merger with the CFL to not only save the CFL, but to kind of, I would have to suck it up and say, take away the Canadian rule set. So, we'd have to play with the American rules, 11 on 11, the same type of field, or you could do it kind of, where the XFL is, your experimental league. So you could do 11 players, but keep the CFL size field, or you can keep 12 players and do an NFL size field. You could do what we do, whereas if you punt the ball out of the back of the end zone, you actually get a point, which I don't necessarily care for, but that's neither here or there. The CFL here is going to die out just because of the COVID. We're not going to be able to have, what we've had before. And it sucks as a Riders fan when we finally got the stadium to support the fan base that it actually has. Now, with the rest of the players that come in the free agency, because, we got excited for names like Mark Trestman for the XFL, for crying out loud, at least me. There's a few other players around the league just in general, like Cordell Patterson for the Washington. Oh, God, I had it. What was Washington's team again?
Eskimos, maybe?
I cannot remember.
Oh, Washington.
And I would get...
Wait.
Was it Washington? Cordell Patterson played for the XFL Washington team, did he not?
I don't think so, no, because he was in the Patriots and went to the Bears. He's in the Bears right now.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to find that out here in a second. My laptop is just a little bit too far away. But I mean, they had
Patterson, speed burner. Yeah, I think he's with the Bears.
Or the quarterback. Sorry, Peterson or whatever from Ohio State. There. He was playing for one of the teams. He did good for the first 2 games and then kind of fell off. But
Cardinal Jones.
Thank you. Sorry, that's where it was. This is why Peter leads it and I just do my own on the side. So, but that's why with Cordell Jones, I knew him from the college days, and I know he took Ohio State and he won the championship and stuff like that. But that's why I got interested in. So if you even told me that Cam Newton were to play for the Seattle Dragons, or Devontae Freeman's going to go play for the Tampa Bay Vipers, you can keep the league moving. Hell, if the Toronto Argonauts got to have Cam Newton, the Edmonton Eskimos got to have Cam Newton. Now all of a sudden you're taking that nice little transition, taking the 2 leagues that have both struggled to get off the ground. All of a sudden you have a playground for all these other players who have always kind of needed it. Wouldn't you agree? Oh, think we kind of lost you there again, but that's okay. Can you hear me now there, Josh?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay. It's probably my connection, so no worries, like I said. So just basically what I asked is if we did a merger of XFL, CFL with some of the players that we talked about and stuff like that, do you actually think we could eventually have this league that we've always wanted, like the AFL as well, and stuff like that? Do you think it could actually take off the ground, and do you think it would actually work if we had those players?
I think there's nothing but, it's nothing but beneficial to have a kind of like an NFL Europe developmental league. Maybe not that's directly with one franchise in particular, but, for them to be able to bring up players, send down players, get them experience, if it's spring or if it's fall. I think there's a lot of benefit to that. You look at some of the players that came out of NFL Europe and had, some promising careers there. So I do think that it should happen. I don't know why it hasn't happened. I know they've been using college football as their personal farm system, but once these players get drafted or undrafted and leave college, there's really nowhere for them to go. Arena football has collapsed. All spring football has failed. CFL is in a bind right now where they're not even sure if they're going to be able to continue. So there's nowhere for these players to go besides going to local adult recreational leagues or flag football, something like that. I would like to see, though, with like the older guys, I believe Terrell Owens and Chad Ochocinco did a flag football type league. I would watch like a Big Three tournament type deal that Ice Cube put together. I would definitely watch a flag football with some of these guys who think they, say Delaney Walker or LaDainian Tomlinson wanted to play one more year, but couldn't find his taker. Go play flag, because I would tune into that all day.
Hells yeah!
The thing about a developmental league or a spring league or something like that is you're so used to watching the NFL and only the NFL because there's not really anything. NHL has the AHL, they have the G League, they have the minor leagues, and while those aren't broadcasted, you're not used to seeing that. So having, teams that aren't that good, watching them, even though, it's good, for it's football and it's good to have it back. It's just hard to watch that level of play, because a lot of those teams in the XFL could have lost to Bama. So, I mean,
That's very true.
Like watching a college team. It's not like watching a dominant college team, and it's not like watching a football game. It's watching a lesser product. It's unfortunate, but I think there should be something, but there just isn't.
I agree. We do like the good product. That's why we work for Buccaneers Bucks Report. Sorry, and that's the reason why that we are interested in the Big Four and stuff like that. Those other developmental leagues and stuff like that, they don't necessarily intrigue us until they obviously get really, really good. Now, I got you for at least another 2 minutes before I'm going to get into the last couple of things of the show here, and I'll get you out of here. I got Johnny Dean telling us that, the buffering is a little off, but we're still doing pretty good here. So just wanted to make sure that everything else was good, and I just took a look. It looks like we're still banging. But I figured I'd get you on here for another 2 minutes, get you out of here. I'll finish up on my end, and then I'll be seeing you tonight as well. And I'll give you a chance to lay down where people can see you and stuff like that, and you'll get some Canadians following you finally. That'll be good for you. So you are a Boston fan through and through. Is that correct? You just love all Boston teams. Is that correct?
I do. I'm a big Boston sports fan. And, as you can see behind me, I'm big on the Buccaneers now, too. Even without Tom and Gronk coming here, I was on them last year. Went to a couple games with my son, started rooting them, watching them whenever they were on, as long as, the schedule didn't match up. But now I'm a season ticket holder. I'm full, 2 feet deep into the Buccaneers fandom. I've actually, don't let my friends back home, I've kind of put New England on the back burner. Still been watching them, still been keeping up with them, but I haven't been, especially because it's my job now, I've been mostly all Bucks, tunnel vision on the Bucks. They'll probably hate to hear that and have, some snarky comments to say. But, Boston, man, it's my home. Away from home, this is my home now, so I'll always love it, and I'll always love the teams. And that's why Tampa was such a selling point for me, too, on the relocation when we moved down here. It's because I still get to see the Red Sox with the Rays, which I did last year. I still get to see the Lightning and the Bruins, which we did twice. Got to meet Marshawn one time, which was really cool.
Nice.
And then I was going to a Celtics game, but they shut down right before the Celtics played Orlando, and I drove down to Miami to catch a Miami Patriot game. So, having all my teams in a 3-hour window was huge for me to still be able to watch them. So, but yeah, I mean,
Boston all the way, right? And I mean,
Boston and Buccaneers,
Boston and Buccaneers. So you grew up around Boston then, I'm assuming, or?
I did about 35 minutes out.
Okay, so I mean, now a lot of people usually would cheer for the team that they kind of grow up around and stuff like that. Me living in Ontario, a lot of people assumed that I would either cheer for the Maple Leafs, the Senators, or the Montreal Canadiens, especially when you grow up in Ontario. The Maple Leafs is just kind of like forced down your throat. You either die with Matt Sundin, Felix Potvin, and whoever the hell else they got. I don't like saying Maple Leaf names on this show because I get people who message me and say, hey, if they go to the finals, you're going to be cheering them on. I'm like, well, I'm going to be cheering Ontario on. I wouldn't be cheering Toronto on.
Well,
I cheer for my Red
for
Wings.
your Canadian friends, don't worry. We'll take care of them in Game 7 like every year.
And see, they hate me every time I bring that up because I don't – when me and my fiance were talking, I think yesterday or the day before, about just the big four of sports, what our kids could not cheer for. If we had to pick for one team that they are not allowed to cheer for whatsoever. When it came to hockey, we definitely came up with Bruins, but the Ducks were right behind, and that's just a long-time rivalry. But you, my friend, are a respectable Bruins fan. That's why I don't give you a lot of crap for your Bruins. Basketball, I said Lakers, and then said, my kids would actually probably look good in Lakers uniforms. But as an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, they're not being a Utah Jazz fan. Unless they're throwing throwback jerseys, they're not being a Jazz fan. When it comes to football, they're not an Eagles fan. I can accept Patriots as much as I don't like the Patriots and never really have, just, being so good. I get that. Eagle fans are a different breed. Yeah, Eagle fans are a different breed, and those Eagle fans can get a little too rowdy sometimes, and I don't need my kids being around that necessarily. But when it comes to baseball, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Say no more.
When it comes to baseball, see, there you go. And I know, yeah, you guys probably had that nice little rivalry with the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I will say, and my fiance gave me, a little bit of crap for this. And she said, but this is a good team. Wouldn't you rather, them not cheer for the Yankees? I will never have my kids be a Red Sox fan. I'm sorry. That is just me. Oh, very nice. But you're a fan. You are a diehard fan. You grew up there. Boston is your sport. That's your teams and stuff like that. And those are the type of fans that I both dislike because they will die for their team. But you are the one that's respected stuff. You blend in so well with other people that are other fans of different sports. And we have our group chat, and there's never once a time that you've come in there as a Patriots fan and flexed or your Red Sox tattoo. This has been a nice flex, though. But my kids will never be a Red Sox fan, only as a Cardinals fan because of your amazing run that you had a few years back and the fact that you had the curse, but also 2015, 2016, you cheated. So now we have that as well.
Let's go.
Anyways, Josh, please, promote yourself.
I did this last night on...
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
First of all, I did this last night on my show with Charles. Go to www.yourteamcheats.com. They all cheat in some sort of fashion or way. But as far as promoting myself, you can find me on Twitter at Joshua_C_Allen. I'm on Bucks Report Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I co-host a show on every Thursday from 8 to 9 with Charles Richardson called Thursday Night Live. Tune into that. I'll be making some appearances on some podcasts up around here, trying to get some more players on for interviews on live, more interviews, one-on-one with me and them, exclusives, just working, articles, just grinding and hustling and trying to put out as much content and bring as much content as Bucks Report as I can. I'll be on tonight on the Sports Web with Peter H. Blake, on Bucks Report at 9:15. Maybe for the whole show, who knows? We'll see what goes on there. Can't miss the chance to talk with you and the boys. So,
yeah.
Tune in there. Follow me on Twitter. I put up content every single day, whether it be Bucks Reports, fellow columnists and colleagues on the show. Buccaneers. Follow everything. Adam Schefter, breaking news that deals with the Bucks. So follow me there. And yeah, thanks for having me on, man. It's been a fun experience.
Not a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, when I go down to Super Bowl 55, who is going to be passed out probably beside me on a beach for the next 3 days after, my boy, Joshua Cole Allen. Thank you for joining me, buddy, and I will see you tonight.
Absolutely. See you later.
See you later, brother. All right, guys, that was perfect. It actually worked. That actually went as best as it possibly could. I did not actually think that was actually going to. I'm going to stall a few more times. We had a couple of hiccups, but me and Josh got through it. It was crisp on his side, the hearing and stuff like that. So yeah, that is the co-host and one of the co-hosts of Bucks Report, where I work, where a few of us work for. We're going to be on tonight talking about all the major news that is coming out about the Buccaneers, especially the last 24 hours. This Jamal Adams news is getting us a little anxious, especially with him saying that he wants to actually come play for Todd Bowles and stuff like that. We've been talking a lot about it today. We'll be talking more tonight about it live on Bucks Report. So stay tuned for that. I'll be on there tonight. Man, that was fun. I got to have a couple more people. I'm going to have a few more people from Bucks Report come on. Probably get a few fans on here someday. Maybe episode 15. Next Saturday, we'll get a nice guest on here too. Maybe we'll get a couple of the Buck Report guys. I'll see if I am going to take a chance, like a very, very high chance, at trying to get a player that I am going to possibly be related to one day if my fiance actually says I do and signs the paper. But that is a long shot. It's probably not going to happen. But we're going to have some guests on the last episode of the season, episode 15, June 27th. Ladies and gentlemen, that's when the draw is going to be. Damn right the draw is going to be. So we got a couple last things to do before we go. I want to start out, we started off the Dynasty League for North Sports. And it's all full. Everybody's, not paid in, but we're, get that settled later on. We are going to have a new one. A one season only, where I am probably going to actually buy a little tiny trophy. I kid you not. A small trophy that'll actually fit in a box. Okay? And if you win that trophy, you win the league that year, you're going to get that trophy. I will send it to you. I'll find a little plaque where everybody's money and stuff like that. We'll take, $5 or whatever. We'll make sure we get the plaque for the winner and you send it off. Because North Sports isn't going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to be here for a long time. Bucks Report, that's my job. That's where I got to be professional. That's where I don't necessarily wear hats like this, but I bring the same kooky mentality and emphasis and enthusiasm that I have on this show to there every single time. This show, ladies and gentlemen, this is my show. This is where I get to do whatever the fuck I want. And I give away cards. And it's a little zoomed in right now just because I had to switch the camera around for our guest. And I should have actually thought about that earlier, but I didn't. Stupid me. But we got cards here, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a pack. It's actually worth, without the pack, and I checked, probably about $22.13. Because you got the Reese McGuire auto rookie card for the Blue Jays. That card right there, ladies and gentlemen, I did not necessarily want to give that away. But I'm going to, because this is the show. You can win it. And with the Blue Jays actually starting to look like a real contending team in a couple of years, that card right there might be worth something to you. Might be worth something to me. You know how you can win it? Like this video, tag a friend in this video, share this video. Like any of the videos that North Sports has put out of the episodes, which has only been 14, and you get an entry into the draw. You like the video, you get another entry into the draw. Tag a friend, share it. You know what to do. Then you go to Instagram. You like North Sports 2020. That's where you get 3 entries into the draw, ladies and gentlemen. Now, This, ladies and gentlemen, is where we are going to talk about what is going in the care package. I have to look at my notes here. It was just like I had one last thing before the end of the show. One last care package. One last talk about the care package. Maple cookies, maple syrup, heartbeat hot sauce, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to our friend who we lost a bet here at North Sports, Nick Citro. So what else? What else are we sending? What other Canadian delicates are we sending, ladies and gentlemen? I gotta know. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments, message me, whatever, I don't care. Write it on my wall. What other Canadian delicates are we sending to our man, the myth, the legend, Nick Citro? What are we sending to him? Let me know. We're going to get another league going, like I said. Our yearly league with a little trophy, little PPR, fantasy football. You want in that? Message me. We'll see how many people we get on that. I know there's a lot of people who've been wondering about fantasy football just in general. We'll talk about that next season, I guess you would say. All right? But stay tuned next Saturday for the season finale of North Sports, where we're going to have more guests. We're going to have more discussions before we take a break and we get back into everything, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you to all the fans who have been sharing. Thank you to Heartbeat Hot Sauce for being a great shout out on this podcast. Thank you for Bucks Report for having me and having our guest today, Joshua Cole Allen, on the radar, on their roster. Radar roster. There we go. Thank you for having us. Thank you for following the North Sports, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for following me, North Sports host, one and only, Canadian-born, Andrew Faubert. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is where you can follow me on Twitter, Andrew_Faubert. Look for North Sports. Follow me on Instagram, North Sports 2020. Also follow the Bucks Report on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. They put up new content almost daily. We got videos going every single time you want to hear about what we do. We are there, ladies and gentlemen. Also, you want cards? I got cards. I've had some interest in some cards. And to a few people who've messaged still about the Reese McGuire, it's going to the giveaway. So like, share, and tag, and that's your only opportunity to get the damn card. But to the rest of you, I will be opening cards right after this show. One last time before the end of the season. And we'll see what we got. So follow me on Instagram, my own personal one if you want to see that, and also North Sports. I'll try posting it to both of them. Thank you to all the people who tuned in today. Thank you to all the fans. This has been great. It's been a pleasure. I will see you all tonight. Follow me. I'll be on Bucks Report at around 8 o'clock our time, which is Mountain Time. 10 o'clock? 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Mountain Time. Bucks Report tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again. And I will see you here in a week and a day where we will end our season for now. Thank you again. Much love. Goodbye.